Wasted time, I've wasted breath. I think I brought myself to death. I was all about this fear. Now only this seems clear. I need to move. I need to lose myself to back. And I before I'm told, I'm the nose that brought you on.
Okay, looks like we are ready. Let me get that off and we will start. Let's see. Okay. Get that fixed up. In between. Good evening. Today is September the 1st. I'll go through the announcements first, and this always gives people time to get here before we start. So, the first announcement that I do have 2 pages on Facebook, but I can't get to there right now because I'm on Facebook jail. December got me in Facebook jail for 30 days. So, just those 2 pages are the Oklahoma Bigfoot, or not the Oklahoma Bigfoot Predator Watch, and in parentheses, antlers and surrounding areas. That's on Facebook, and that's where we also will be linking this up when I'm out of Facebook jail. These streams will also be linked up to the Oklahoma Bigfoot Predator Watch page. This is Bigfoot page, but we are using this channel right now because we do have a camp coming up, a ceremony camp, and then we've been kind of jotting around with the idea of having more camps so more people can join us and do some tracking and learning, and so they can see things for themselves. We don't guarantee Bigfoot every time, but you will find the tracks, you will find the traps. We do know their locations, and some places, we'll take you in just to see if they come out to see. There are places like that we know of. The other Facebook group page that I have, which you can access that I'm out of Facebook jail, which is I think 18 to 19 days. But that is the Choctaw Missing and Murdered Woman, BOMB, in Central Database. And that's where we share information on missing Choctaw people, which we have had in a very long time, which is I'm grateful for that, because I do volunteer to track for some of our missing people, for all of our missing people, as long as I know and people get to me as quick as they can, and I've got my bags ready to go. I'm there to track. But I do, and I would like to have more trackers, because sometimes it's not in these local areas. Sometimes, like the last call was LaFleur County, which is a little over an hour away, which is not bad, but still, it'd be better if we had someone there listen, start tracking it, and not wait another hour, have people search and rescue, step all over the tracks and things like that. So if we can get, hey Malcolm, good to hear from you tonight. I got some information, got some news for you. We I'm going over the announcements right now, and uh, then we'll get into what we're going to cover today. The other announcement: the museum, the Chute Ranch Project, a Bigfoot experience, is still scheduled to open in September. I've also been asked to get a like a display to put into the museum, also with a picture and a little bio. And hopefully, if I can get I'm just focusing on the ceremony camp for this weekend that's coming up. We're a day and a half away. One full day, and the next morning we got to be there. So it's coming up soon. I got an announcement for that too. Faith Walker, hello. How are you doing? I'm just getting through with the announcements, and I'm going to share some more information and some good news also. Um, so it is the Chute Ranch Project, a Bigfoot Experience Museum, opening in Tallahassee, Oklahoma, in September. Uh, the curators and owners may be at the camp with us to learn a little bit of what we're going to be doing, but they may actually spend the whole weekend with us, which is only 2 days because we're just going in, do what we got to do, and come out, and then we can later set up more camps. But at least people will get to see what we're doing. And like I told everybody, and we will go through more of this, but this is not like a normal going out and camping like a family camp. This is a camp for a reason. Um, Malcolm says, "Hello, Faith Walker." Yes, I'm glad that everybody has communications with each other, that we feel comfortable enough to say hi to each other, and communicate. And but that museum is on 200 North Second, Tallahassee, Oklahoma, opening up in September. We will have some good news with that, especially with the camp coming up. Oh, I didn't eat. um, okay, the next announcement. The camp will be secured tomorrow if Malcolm, Malcolm, if you can give the parks department a call, or have them call me tomorrow, we can pay for that site tomorrow. Um, and that phone number is 918-567-2052. I'm going to also put that in here for you just in case. Uh, just in case we don't hear the sound, we'll still have the numbers here. 5, 6, 7. Uh, 2837. Okay, I'm going to leave this information there for you, um, Malcolm. And if you could give them a call tomorrow, we can take care of that site to make sure it's secure for us. Um, I left the confirmation number and the site number and the phone number to call. We're I was thinking about Jason Voorhees at Crystal Lake, but her name is Crystal. She's with the parks, and just let her know that we can take care of that tomorrow, or if it's not a big deal, we'll do it the next day, Friday, whenever we get there. Okay, next announcement: ceremony camp scheduled for September 3rd, 4th, and 5th. We're one day away, and we're getting close to the camp for the ceremony for the Kamishi River. And this is we actually got some good news today because even I was thinking this afternoon I was like I still need to get batteries. I still need to make sure we have gas money. I still have to make sure that we have some water and edibles. But everybody, bring your edible foods, your dry goods, and your water. Always bring that with you. It is a camp, but it's going to be a moving camp, and we will get into more of that. But even today, I was kind of sitting back. I was like, God, I still need to get this. I still need to get this, and the whole check's in the mail, which there is one in the mail, but it's not here yet, and it was supposed to be here 3 weeks ago, and it's still not here. So it was getting pushed back, and I was even getting low on supplies here. But I was thinking, we got like a day until we really go, and I still need to get this. I still need to get this, and everything. And it's like, and then I just stopped. It's now the universe knows what I need, and I'm just going to leave it out there. I'm not going to worry about it. Whatever happens, happens. And even if nothing happens, we still will be okay. We'll still get through it. And I would say maybe 30 minutes after that, I got a text, and it was from a friend, um, and she's actually on here. We'll use her name here for Faith Walker. She sent us some funds to help us out, and she said for just whatever we needed. And but that alone is, because it was all these things that we need. This will take care of this weekend for us. I mean, we'll be able to pay that site, so we don't have any problems there. We should have some extra gas money to get to these certain places because we're going. As soon as we're there, we're going to just talk about a couple things, and then we got to go to another site so I can show you where these traps are, how perfect they are, how nobody even looks at these places as traps, but these places are where people have come up missing. And another friend, he's got a place he wants us to check out, but this place, tell him is the hot spot anyway. And he knows that they're there. He's seen Bigfoots out there. The friend of mine who's going to be taking us to these places also. I think he has to work in the morning, but by the time he gets done, he's going to come to the camp, take us to these places, and he may even camp with us. But he is nowhere. He has Bigfoots around his area, and we're going to do some light how to look for more tracks and things. But Malcolm was with me today, and we was looking at the smallest scuffs on the smallest uh, uh, what are they called, roots. We were pointing at these scuffs and just showing that this is that path, this is where they're traveling through, and that they were fresh paths. And we didn't track the group that we found because we had to get to the pond in the back and follow the crevice around. But then when I was looking at some of the pictures, I noticed that in some of the last pictures in that furthest part of the ravine where it goes off into the darkness, because there's a forest kind of area there, but the ravine, there was a walkway, not like a walkway, but you could see that they had just freshly went down into that path which goes around into the darkness and around the bend, which would have been a trap if we was following them, because we would have been in a ravine. Which when we were looking for tracks, and Malcolm held my spear, which I still have my shotgun, short nose, that he's like, well, here's your spear. And I told him, I said, well, I got my weapon here, but I just want to get down here because this ravine is where they travel to get prey, but their tracks were mostly on the bank. Where the prey went, it was mostly in that ravine area, into the trap. But we did talk about those traps a long time ago when we first kind of started this. So thank you, Faith Walker. You showed up at the very, very top. And so now we can buy some things that we need and supplies. and also pay for that site so that we don't have any problems there. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Don't see, well, where's everybody else at? Cliff and all them. Cliff with the stream here. Um, we're moving. We're doing things. And all thanks to the people who are viewing and learning with us and spending time with us. I want to thank everybody for doing that. Now, I do want to recap just a little bit because I watched the stream last night. I watched the stream, which I always do. After every broadcast, I will go back over it and I'll watch the whole stream myself just to see if there's glitches or if there were disturbances. And right at the very end of last night's stream, there was a disturbance, and it was right at the very end of the Fibonacci sequence. We was going to kind of show you how all this correlates. All this story is about the Fibonacci sequence and creation, the story of time or the legend of time. And Malcolm says, yes, thank you, Faith Walker. Yes, a big exclamation points. Thank you, Malcolm, for acknowledging her. And Faith Walker says, you had faith and I obeyed what God told me to do, delighted I could. Yes, and we was talking about that our paths, our energies, we're linking. Even just sharing this and seeing each other every night and learning more and more, we're getting on that same vibration, that same frequency, because once we both have that understanding or that knowledge, and everyone on here, Malcolm, everybody, Cliff, but once we get on that same pathway, we can communicate like that. It's like if I have this need or something, or if you have it, or something that we can do for you, we'll feel it. Just like with your family members too. We all have these abilities. We just have been told that we don't have them, not to try to use them. Don't try to focus. Don't try to practice with them. But like I tell everybody, practice, 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 and these things so you connect. But yes, I just put it out there with the energy. I just left it out there, and Faith Walker found it on that same wavelength. She found it, and she probably answered no less than maybe 20 minutes after I just said I'm just gonna leave it out there, and because I have to do some things for the night, so I just left it out there. And I was just like, the world knows what I need right now, so let's just leave it and go on. And so that jumped ahead of us, and then Faith Walker picked it up, and she helped us. And yes, Malcolm, if you can, give them a call and let them know. But if not, that we will be able to show up and go ahead and pay for that right then, so that we won't have any problems with the parks, and they'll know that we're good people. Just by talking to them. But as part of this recap, I know that little banner holds this stuff down, so I want to just kind of put it right here, I guess. It's hard to see. So just this alone, from what we were going over with the Fibonacci sequence, I was telling everybody that this sequence up here is the story, the legend of time, but it's also the Fibonacci sequence, which we're starting to learn it. We're only up to the baby, which is 3. But we got to remember, the sun is 0. Sun with movement, or the spark of life, is a sun plus 1, which is +1. The moon with the earth inside is also a +1, moon +1, or moon plus earth. And moon plus earth is 2. So you would get 0 plus 1, and then this one is 1 plus 1, or actually 1 plus 1, but this is 2. So then we'll move that to a 3. So now you got the 3 is the sun with the red, the the other one with the moon, and then you have the Earth. So that's the number three, which we were getting to the last part of that. But I'm gonna. So those are symbols for the Fibonacci sequence, but also we remember that the sun and then the sun plus one and the sun and the moon together. But it's two, one, two. Then we get down to the next one. It's actually two plus one, but it's not a sequence. In the Fibonacci sequence, it's it's start with the sun. Sun and moon is plus one, and the sun and moon together is two, and then the one plus two is the baby, or which is Earth, plus mother and father, sun and moon, which is three. So the Fibonacci sequence will start off one and one, which is the two single cell. Yeah, I seen that, Malcolm. It started glitching, and I don't know if we're the only channel that glitches. But with the one plus one, and then the two, and then the baby. So the Fibonacci, besides not starting with zero, is correct in the sequence of life. And we'll get to 5, 8, 13, 21. Oh, but I did want to show you that number 55 because we pretty well talked about that. But that 55 is very important in the Fibonacci sequence. We will get a little further in that, and I'll erase all this. And that's why I said if you can, either watch that video again or write everything down by yourself, because I only got a couple of boards and I'll erase them. And then do like the number 5, number 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, and you'll understand the Fibonacci sequence, which nobody has ever deciphered except for us. So we're giving all the information to you so you see how creation works. And then you'll see how, whenever we went over that healing booklet, then you'll see exactly how the healing works, because we get certain minerals at certain times. We've only getting 9, but there's 12. That's deficient in 3, and those 3, it's only because we have a physical body is why we have an extra 3. If we were still spiritual, we wouldn't have calves and feet, and we don't in the spiritual world, but here we do. So we are getting the earthling connection, or the earth connection of the physical, which is the connection to the earth, but also the spiritual. That is why the Fibonacci sequence is so important. It's in everything. Everything is created this way. Every tree, every plant, every seashell, everything has this Fibonacci sequence in it. We're also going to get more into like we went over a little bit of the sky map yesterday, because it has to do with the sun, the moon, the baby, north, south. It goes in. Then we're also going to be breaking down more of the Aztec sunstones, the hieroglyphs. So you understand all those stories, and you'll see how all this works together. And then we'll really be able to communicate. I mean, not just here, but mentally, like we're starting to do with everyone who's been watching these videos. So we're all learning together. Okay, that was a quick recap of the Fibonacci sequence. Did at the very end. Thing that I was telling you about the zero or the sun, and the sun moving has 0 plus 1. So the Fibonacci sequence has to do with the sun and the moon and creation and the baby, and you'll see how everything correlates with that where we go. But I'm glad to Oh, here's also right here. Also 1 plus 2, which is 3. So even the uh, I can't think of the technical name, Vesperian Vesper or something, for those two interlocking um, cells to create a portal in and out. And when the sun merges with the moon, it's not like it enters, it joins together. It doesn't, it's not like it's coming into something. It's joining, it's merging, it's coming together with that. So that was the quick recap of the Fibonacci sequence, which is we're only up to 3, the number 3, which means baby. Number 2 means woman. Number 1 means man. So once you are doing those equations, and you'll see different equations and mathematical equations, and use these numbers, and you'll figure out a lot of the uh, sophisticated mathematics is not as sophisticated as it seems to be because you understand what every symbol means, every letter, every number. Okay. Next thing is you are the warrior here right now. You are the help you need. We are preparing for a journey together. We will get there and back, and we will go over any obstacle. So as we are getting closer to this camp, we're only one full day away, and then the next day we have to be there. Get there as early as you can, so we can have more time to go over things and look at more traps and things like that that are around and do some tracking. And then we're going to go over our tactical training, individual and multi tactical. That way we know what to do when we're in the field. We're going to go over everything. We're going to go over the logistics, mapping. We're going to know the terrain. Uh, we're going to do this as a warrior would do it. We're going to, even though we don't know the terrain, we're going to look at maps and everything to where we see where the ridges are and things like that. Just a little bit of map training too. We want to know everything that's over there, the waterways, because, oh, I'll get to that part also. So we are preparing for this journey. And remember, we're out there, we are the ones who are going to get this done. We can bring this information back for a lot of people, but it's just us going out there in the field. We're not going to have communication with people on the phones until we're out of the field. We don't want to make disturbances. And go back to that also, another part. Also, be observant. When we are out there, be very observant. Now the Bigfoots, now the Bigfoots are called shadows or shadow people, a glimmer or glimpse to a blur or other ways to see them. They travel through the trees as freely as the land. So when we're out there, we have to watch the treetops too. We can't just look on the ground, look in the bushes. We have to the treetops. We have to know what's above us when we're on places. Because every time I find a tree, they've been in the trees. We have seen them on the ground who are in there trying to see what we're doing. If they'll hide in the tree, they will be translucent. So we're very observant when we're out there. And of course, we focus at the camp too, because if whoever shows up at the camp, I mean, I know for And so we're glitching again. We're glitching again. So when we're at camp, we're gonna go over all this again. Uh, there's a lot. That's why we need people there early as possible because there's a lot to go over and a lot of places that we need to visit. But they're all close. They're all in that same area. Um, but Bigfoots will use the trees. They will be translucent, and they will try to stay there to let us walk underneath them. Uh, okay. The next thing is when the Bigfoot is translucent, use the right eye to see them. Uh, Also, when Bigfoots are translucent, we went over that yesterday. I'll go over again real fast. That whenever they're translucent and we're not picking them up, just the regular scanning, no disturbances. That's when we're going to use to look through the right eye and say, "See it." We're going to tell our bodies, our eyes, to see it. Um, and we're going to use that, and I'll go over that in just a second also. The stopping of everything also practically not seeing. So whenever you start putting that blockage up so that nothing gets in, nothing, uh, no creature can converse with you. No predator can connect with you when you're in this state of blocking everything out. But also in this state, also imagine yourself not being seen, like you're translucent also, because we do have these abilities, and if we can block everything like we're supposed to, then we can also hide our image. We have these abilities, but we just been taught we can't do these things. Um, and we can communicate with each other just by thinking, just by staying on the same wavelength. But to do that, we have to know the same information. We have to know each other. And this is how we're doing this through here. We're getting to know each other. So we're getting on that same length. We can start communicating. Um, the language of shadows is to know the shadow. In shadows, the Bigfoot can be seen as a shadow. Uh, oh, in shadows, the Bigfoots can be seen as a shadow. Watch a shadow move backwards when you are using shadow language and look for signs. You will see a shadow move while others do not. They will move into another shadow for commonness or to blend. Now, a Bigfoot will do that. A Bigfoot will, while it's translucent, but also like we were talking about, when they're translucent, they cast shadow. So learn the shadows. Look around. See how far the shadow comes up. Is it the shadow of the bush? Is it the shadow, of the rock? Or is it a bigger shadow than the bush and a bigger shadow than the rock? Pay attention to that shadow, because when you start paying attention to shadows, if it is a translucent predator, it will move back and try to blend into the next shadow. So mark those shadows, know where they're at. This is how you use shadows. Um, the next thing is watch Raven to learn and see how predators walk, how predators use shadows. Now, if you watch a raven and do it to where the raven is like look out of a house window or in your car or something, watch a raven if it lands. Land right next to the shadow or right in the shadow. This is the way predators walk. Now, if that raven is in that shadow, it's going to follow that shadow to not be seen because it is black. It's trying not to be seen, and it will follow that shadow all the way up to the base of whatever's causing that shadow. Whether it be a tree, a telephone pole, or a bush, these predators will use these shadows. They will use bushes, they will use poles, trees, rocks, cars, tents. They will even use people aren't paying attention to sneak up on them. Watch the lion to see weight distribution and his softness of the reach, how the weight is distributed to step with the touch of a kitten. I do recommend people do watch a lion or a panther or a jaguar. Watch how they move on all fours when they're creeping up on prey. You'll see the weight distribution is so soft they don't leave prints, but they have the softest touch of a kitten, and they will use that and they will slowly push down on everything not to cause any sound. The Bigfoot will do the same thing. It will use the weight distribution and still move quiet all the way up behind a bush, all the way behind a tree, all the way up behind a vehicle, all the way up to your camp or your tent where you're not aware. A lot of people aren't aware that these things are already very close to their camp or tent before they go to bed. Hey, Rock. Good to hear from you. You're always welcome, of course. You know that. Malcolm says, I noticed different color shadows, like more solid. Yeah, and that's what we're talking about. You'll see um, a light color shadow and a dark color shadow. One sticking in that, or no shadows. And Malcolm said he did notice the difference in the colors, and that's this other shadow's thick. It's dark. It's blocking out more sun. Know that these shadows are not supposed to be together. Um, Rock says, I missed the last one, passed out, but better late than never. Yeah, and you'll also see, Rock, that on the last segment that we had, the first part of this segment about the Fibonacci sequence, we had to redo. So we did it at the first part of this to recap the part that was blurry or glitchy last night. And so now we're moving on with what we're doing tonight. Um, the Bigfoot, like the Raven, will use that shadow to get as close to a person as possible and then wait for the next opportunity to advance even closer. When this happens, people are being hunted. Don't mistake that. Deter predators away from your camp. Know that a predator is trespassing and never let a Bigfoot walk into your camp. And what I'm talking about there, as far as deterring a Bigfoot from entering camp, and that's putting like the trail cams up in certain positions, not all facing this way, but one facing this way. If it gets around the tree, one facing, kind of like a block, like lightning would make. Put those trail cams in areas to where now, if you have an open observant place, you don't need that one. You need the places where it's darker and you're just trying to deter the Bigfoot from coming through that area, and you're using the infrared on your trail cams to do that. I also have little spikes that I buy. You can get them at Walmart. They're about this big. Get them in the crafting section. They're little, I would say pine. But what I do is I get a whole bunch of those. I think they're like $2 a package for 10 or something, very cheap. And if Malcolm, if or Damon, if you got time, stop by Walmart, go to the crafting section, get us a couple packages of those sticks. I can't think of what they're called, but they're about this big, about that, like pine, like a pin about that size. I sharpen those ends. Get mud, leaves, grass, get them dirty as possible, and then I will put those in the ground behind trees behind cars, behind my tent, things like that, so that and then and smell like the dirt. It's so hard for them to see also. So you will get blood samples. You will, and that's the camp. That should deter them from your camp. Step on one of those, they're gonna start watching their feet. And I've done this before, so I know it works. That because they don't know that you're doing this, they're coming the usual path, get as close to you as possible. But what I did was I put those up, and during, right after they had left in the morning, I put those up. Everything during the day, they see me just walking around. I know where everybody gets, so there's no big. But then at that night, that's whenever I got some blood samples on one of the spikes. And they did stop coming into my yard. They went to the next house, or they went around my area. They knew that my area was a trap, was a secure. Because even some of the soil I dug up, made it real soft, and I caught a print there. And that's called a and tracking. I can't think of the name. It's like a sand trap or a track trap is what it's called. That's when you loosen the ground around your area, even camping area, so that morning, if you don't have anything in the morning, you still find tracks that were in your camp, but you'll have good tracks because you loosen it, it's fresh, and big that you're doing that, they'll walk into it, and they have because I've seen it, and I've seen it in my own area. It's like this, how high, how high it's all mostly all growth plants out there. Stems are very high. Okay, to the top of the treetops. These creatures will get up to where there's cover. So if it's not real uh, vegetation, you're like on pine tree up till you get to the top around those areas. That's where you're going to look. That's where they'll be. Um, they're trying to use every hiding position or every position of cover that they can use to achieve before they can use. Very tactical. No because they don't know if people have weapons or not. They don't know if you're easy prey. They don't know if it's trapped there. So they're going to observe until the time or the best opportunity for them to move towards you. So yes, Faith Walker, all the way up to the highest trees, and I always tell people just watch that movie Predator, and you'll see the same way Bill will move. And that tree, go from tree to tree. He'll use the ground, use water. He'll look for cracks. This is a predator, and predators do know how to hunt, and they do hunt in packs. Always remember that too. Yes, never let a Bigfoot walk in your camp. Deter it. Put those spikes up. Put those tracks out there. Put your cams up so that they don't come into your camp because they're going to avoid that light. But if they're light, but at least you're going to have spikes also, plus spears and your weapons, so you'll be prepared for them. Next thing is a Bigfoot will use cedar or bedding, or cedar for bedding. So look for that under bridges. What we call bridges in like the Bigfoot terminology, bridges are trees that are over ravines, trees that are over walkways. And that's what we call bridges because they knock trees over and then put it there so that prey can get on it and walk, and they can come on both sides. And if you see that tree over a ravine or a waterway or something where animals can't really pass, a river or a stream, something like that. If you look on both sides of those trees, you're going to find spots where these Bigfoots have been sitting there and just waiting and prey to walk across there. And then what they do is they'll have one person or one of the Bigfoots try to force somebody or another person over that bridge while there's another one over. They're trying to catch them in the middle, and if they drop down, like we did talk about, that they will also be in that ravine, and they rush people into a trap. And this is also exactly what we seen when me and Malcolm was out there. That's when we followed that ravine, looked for traps, looked for tracks, and we found them. And we also found the places where they were hiding, where they used as a ambush spot for those bridges. And we did go over those before we went out to the field a couple segments back, and I'm glad we did. So that when we were out there, we didn't have to explain to each other what this is. We just followed uh, to get the prints and get the places where they are. Follow where that trap is. The first part of it is just getting you into the trap. But if you follow how the trap is designed, you're going to find their capture areas and their capture spots. Um, Also, you'll find that cedar bedding because it is a natural bug deterrent also, and you can make it into a soft kind of bed. You'll also find that in caves or burrows or dugouts, but also spiders will be apparent or present when you find a place that is occupied by a Bigfoot. Spiders will always be with that Bigfoot. And like we were talking about, whenever they go translucent, you can still see spiders walking on them, and they do carry spiders on them. So look for that, and we'll get to that in just a, another second. Um, the Bigfoot's hand, feet, and face are a predator's camouflage and uses the DNA of all the combined animals, bird, and fish, including man's DNA, to be the second best predator here. Bigfoots hunt people to become a better predator. The more DNA of a human or man eating, the the more human DNA is used for reproduction. And when a warrior views a Bigfoot, there is a difference between how a warrior of knowledge views a Bigfoot to the viewing of a normal person who has no knowledge of what is looking right at them. Warriors prepare for battle. A normal person becomes curious and will follow a Bigfoot into a trap while a warrior knows the traps. And that's also kind of like what I was talking about because when Malcolm and I was tracking, that those at the very end that we basically pushed them out of the wood line and they went through where the electrical poles are, I guess you call them. They crossed through there and got to the other side, went down into the ravine. They went down to the ravine, into the darkness, into the other side, which was really dark. So that's what I'm talking about. A normal person would have seen, hey, those are Bigfoot traps. Let's follow them. Let's see where they go, or let's try to get a picture of them. That's how a normal person would think. Like for me, when I was out there, I looked at that and I seen where it was going down the ravine into that darkness. I stopped because that is a trap. They were leading me right down the ravine, right into the darkness, and that's where they were waiting. I didn't fall for that. We turned around and we walked back up the ridge line, and we came back because we was limited on time, which we were out there for about 10 and a half hours. But then, that was a trap. That was a fresh trap. And I got those pictures of it and I might show that, but you could tell we was right on their heels. And they were leading us into a trap. If we kept following, we was going right into a trap, but we didn't do that. Normal people sees a human or almost a man-like being. That's the way a normal person thinks, who doesn't know the history, who doesn't know where they come from, doesn't know they're a predator in disguise, that's the way a normal person would think. Now, a warrior sees a predator that through eating or mixing of DNA has become a better predator and has the taste of man to be that close looking to a human. The more a Bigfoot looks man like or human like, the more that face looks more like us. That predator has been eating humans or the parents have been eating people to get that Bigfoot to look at it. It don't just happen to look like that automatically. It's through the mixing of DNA to get more DNA, and you can actually see who the Bigfoots ate because there'll be a picture of the male and the female or that DNA that's mixed in. Uh, Prefer to meet a dog man, mothman, lizard man, because a human faced predator is the deadliest. And to be so close to a human face, it has a certain preference for taste of man to be a better predator. And that's what we're talking about. They have to consume humans to be more man like or to look more like man, to have more of the features. The only three ways you get DNA, that's through blood, that's through eating, that's through eating the flesh and drinking of the blood. Um, the man's semen, um, and that also is still in the body if consumed by a Bigfoot. We do still have that with us. Third way is through a woman's breast milk. Uh, if she has child, and they will take children, and that is everything mixed in together because that child is still um, drinking milk from the mother. It still has the blood, um, and those cells for reproduction is still apparent in the body. They may not be active, but they are still there. So a child has all those things that a Bigfoot loves to use to transfer DNA to make a better predator. And that's all a Bigfoot does is try to make a better predator. Um, Now, a stick man, flying heads, lights in the sky, gurgling like a crawfish sound are spiders. So if you hear people talking about stick man, the tall man, not the tall hairy man, but the tall man, um, flying heads or lights in the sky, those are spiders. And both the spiders and the Bigfoots can produce light and orbs. And yes, you will see them together, especially when they're hunting. Bigfoots and spiders hunt together. And you will see orbs. You will see Bigfoots with orbs around them. Or Bigfoot will, what people think will turn into an orb, but it's just turning that light on for cover. When we are at the spring, we have to be very aware. Malcolm, Damon, Steve, if he's here, whoever's going, the people from the museum, if you're watching this too, we have to be very observant when we're at that spring, uh, when we're doing the ceremony. Because Bigfoot, because this is Bigfoot, excuse me, we'll find spiders there as well near the opening of the waterways. As water, uh, Now remember, the Bigfoots and spiders live together and they share prey, captured prey. So wherever we find spiders, we're going to find Bigfoots. Wherever we find Bigfoots, we're going to find spiders. But you'll also find in these certain areas the offsprings, which are like the dog man, the moth man, lizard man. And it all depends on what DNA they're eating or which is more abundant in that area. So if you're in a big wolf area or used to be, you're going to have, you know, wolf Bigfoots, you know, or dogman, you know, even the bear looking, the moth, the bird people, bird look. Um, you will find all that together. They will all be in the same areas. They all hunt together. They all share meals, and this is why you'll hear stories of people seeing a dogman with a Bigfoot, or even if they're fighting, but they'll still be in the same area, things like that. Um, listen for the chattering or the clicking of teeth with a low, almost female tone. This will arrive behind or in a tree above. So when you hear this, you know where to look. Whenever you hear Bigfoot chattering, like real tick, 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 or it sounds like teeth clicking together, which it is, it's like a chatter, teeth click. There'll also be like a low female sounding, I would say a moan while they're doing this. And they'll always do that behind you or above you behind you. It's always going to come from the back. So if you hear that, that's where it's at. It's behind you or it's up in the tree behind you. That clicking gives them away. All these things, we just have to know what they do to to let them give themselves away. We always want them to stay first. Okay, for the warriors, always warriors, keep your right eye. Circle, it's used for the ghosts, blurs, movements, and shadows. Now, use transition attributes. Warriors use this technique to zoom in on wave, the scales, or glitter of the hair, and that's visible. Uh, a big hair will merge, connect, or blend into another DNA in the hair. When you look at that scale, you see the difference between that predator. It goes to people who collected hair samples, which is DNA. It always comes up inconclusive or more human. That's what we're talking about. It's all these different DNAs mixed together. But there are genetics that don't know to check for the other DNA. But if you look at and you'll see that Bigfoot hair or even a gorilla hair merge together. There will be a merge. Um, and there will be blocking or where this block next the next is the other DNA. But if you look at their hair, you'll see that they have a merge, a blocking or connecting together. And look for that in Bigfoot hair DNA whenever you find some. As the birds and spiders DNA of the no medulla, which is the core of the hair, is filled with air to be lighter when climbing or jumping. As a spider that has no exoskeleton. Bigfoot tries to mimic man's hair. Bigfoot tries to mimic man's hair, known as an imitator, a deceiver, demon, or devil. Now, man's hair, if you look at man's hair through a magnifying glass, you will see more like or water. It's man's hair flows to rest like a river or a waterway or lightning out lining a river. Our hair you see no blockage. There's no merging with another. And they come together, merge. But in Anne's hair, there's no restriction. It just flows down. But it will have attributes of lightning or the sun symbol. The in between is the water. And if you look at those hair follicles, you'll see the difference in what I'm talking about. Find maybe a video over Bigfoot hair DNA. Look at it, you'll see that they merge together because it's a merging of all these animals. It's not just one like us. Then look at our hair. You'll see that it flows down, and you'll see that it flows like water, like the sun and the moon. But on Bigfoot hair, you're going to see that merging. You're going to see them no do that. You're going to see it's never been cut and things like that because they don't go to haircut places. Um, Now, when we are in the mountains, when warriors are in the mountains, when we are in the mountains, it's pretty much like a game called King of the Hill. You don't go in there showing weaknesses. You don't have fear. You're there for a reason. You're only there to get in, get out. And the only other reason why you would be in those mountains is like a normal person. They play as food in that area. You'll see them, as they say, flocking, camping, swimming, making noise, splashing, cooking cheeseburgers. That's how prey works, or that's the attributes of prey. That's not the attributes of a warrior. A warrior, you'll see a wholly, totally different camp than normal people. And normal people, and warrior have anything warrior has to. It's a war. It's death. It's not run through cold darkness with a flashlight. Prepare you get about the kind of for it. Um, all predators know the difference between a warrior and prey. Between a warrior and horse. All predators know those attributes. They know when the person comes here making noises, observing, around, shadow. We glitched again, but predators know the difference between warriors and a normal person. Like we were saying, normal people will get out there, camp, make noise, turn the radio on, leave the windows down, have lights everywhere, making noise and cooking out there. That's a normal person. That's not a warrior. That's not how a warrior does. So these predators know the difference. They don't want to go out there and try to pick a fight with the warriors. They want to just go over there and gather the food who is not observant. Also, trackers. Trackers have to have the same training as warriors. And when it's time to move, it's time to move. No questions, no hesitations. And we teach that tracking course, and we tell people to be a warrior, you have to know how to track. You have to know this knowledge. You have to know weapons. You have to know this. And so when you go through that tracker course camp, that's a whole month. That's a whole month of training. And when you come back, you're not going to be the same person. You're going to know how to take someone fast. The most applications, you know what to do. You know your body. And I'm talking about taking anybody down. When I think taking down a normal man or even a warrior, even if it's the most skilled warrior, I don't have any problem with that. When I see challenge in front of you. That's all I see it as. I'm gonna my best is right here, right now. That's also the way you have to be when you're in. If you do have the encounter, have that altercation with a Bigfoot or multiple Bigfoots, you have to give your very best right then. It could be your very best battle, or it could be your last battle. But way, you just could make your very best, greatest last battle, or make it your best battle for now, because there are more battles to go, and we know that. It's not just one battle. We've got battles, and we have to prepare for everything. Uh, Now, when in the field, when the hand sign to stop is made, stop in your tracks. This will be observant to that lead guy. When he puts that stop sign up, stop. Don't continue to move forward. But you stop in your tracks, but use a tree, a bush, a shadow, stones for cover. Don't stop in the open. When that hawk comes up, get down behind a bush or take half step back to get in that shadow of that tree, do it. Don't stop in the sun. Stop in the shade. Take cover. You want to blend in on your stop. You don't want to stand out on your stop. But when you call for halt, we stop. You stop. Now, and I was kind of talking with them about this uh, in a nonchalant way, because there was a light breaking through, and I put my hand to show not into the light. I pulled my hand. I understood because we were at that spot. Now, shiners, what we call we call shiners. We don't get shiner. Are people stop in the sun instead of shadow? People shine like a mirror catching the sun's reflection. You're in a dense forest, or even like the forest area that we was at the other day. Anytime you stop in the sun, whenever everything is dark around you or shaded, you stand out like somebody just reflected the sun with a mirror. That's what we call shiners, because when you step into the light, you shine. Animals can see you, other people see you, and you can see great distances because pretty cloud or shadow area. A big, bright, shiny man standing in the forest. Don't be a shiner. Don't stop in sun. Take cover. Blend in. Blend into that bush. Blend into that shadow. If that bush is this big, get down. Blend into it. Use all that. Don't be a shiner. Also, warriors, when you're standing for a long time, and like Malcolm will tell you, that one first stop, we was there for at least an hour and a half. When you have to stand for a long time, bend your knees just slightly. Don't go overboard. Just bend them slightly. This helps that blood flow to continue. But when you stand stiff-legged, your blood flow gets restricted. Your knees get weak, and you will fall. But when it's time to walk, your legs are going to be jittery until they get that blood flow back in. So when you just stop and stand for an hour, 2 hours, maybe 3, have a slight bend. You will make it. And blood flow will continue to go through. You will not fall. But if you stand straight-legged, and it's hard for me to tell when people are in jeans, if you stand straight-legged, you're going to see there after about 30 minutes in the work, your legs start jittering. And then it's only a matter of time before you fall. That's the Russian way. That's dirt. Practice when you stand for long periods of time. to give your knees a slight bend. Now, I've had to do this, and I had to hold my position for about 2 hours one night, if not longer. And the person with me knew to do this also, so we was okay. But if anybody else was with us, they wouldn't know what to have done, nor would we have been able to talk to them because we me and this other person, we knew what to do. We've been through this before. We knew the tactics. We knew how to stand. We knew where to watch, and we moved shoulder to shoulder so that we could know where each other was at all times. Because I had the weapon, we had the thermals and the night vision, and we could have a team. I could see, but I had no finger and I was ready. But luckily, we deterred them by just using our tactics and confusing them because we don't move on people. Um, Practice the techniques at home. When we get to the ceremony, we'll go over how we want our bodies to move when we reach the state of stopping everything. So when we're at the camp, when we're going to practice, stopping everything. We're going to stop the past, stop the future. We're going to stay in the present, and we're going to quit talking to ourselves. We're going to build that secure wall that is impenetrable. But we're also going to practice to reach down to get our weapon, to move to the vehicle, to take a couple steps back, or to get into a position. We're going to train like that at the camp also. Because, like I was saying, we have to train our camp to move when we get in that state, or it's just going to stand there. It's not going to have a command. It's not going to have a pre-programmed command. And if it doesn't, it's just going to stay there with a blank stare and not move at all. And we don't want to do that. We want our body to be moving, even though we are in that state of not letting anything in. So practice that, because once we get to the camp, we're going to go over how we want our bodies to move while we're in that state also. But you need to practice that before we get to camp, because that will help you be advanced for what we got to do. Um, okay, vehicles. When we get to camp, vehicles, do not slam your doors. Vehicles, do not slam your doors. When we're at camp, you close your doors gently. Maybe you push it, give it a little push. Do secure your doors, but don't slam it ever. Slam that door, we just gave our position away. We're going in there as quiet as possible in anything we do and where we are. Really clear everything to not be disturbed out in the field. Just close your doors quietly. No, don't have your radio on. Don't listen to the news. You want to be able to hear everything. Also, people with vehicles, bring duct tape. Duct tape too. I'm going to be bringing for anybody. Bring duct tape, cardboard, or old shirts. We will use these for covering the headlights, backlights, interior lights, cab lights, radios, anything without light. Especially that will come on automatically. Also, secure all your items. Nothing that rattles in the back of your truck. Nothing that moves inside of your vehicle. Don't have things, because we hit bumps or something like that, and you got tools or something in the back. Clean your truck out. Clean your back part of the pickup out, because if there's something back there that rattles, even a can, one tool, you're giving our position away. You're going to hear it. And if we can hear it, they can hear it, and we don't want to be heard. So secure all your items, also with your backpacks and your bug out bags. When we go out in the field, make sure you're secure. I did have that problem because I kept bumping because my knife wasn't secure, because I didn't have pants on. I just had some slender pants so I could get through things. When you wear pants and things like that, secure your knife so it doesn't hit your weapon or even binoculars. Don't click. Uh, Secure everything in your vehicles. Also, when you're out in the field, if you have long hair, especially with women, if you have long hair, put it up. Tie your hair up, because those are symbols and how we go into battle. When a warrior goes into battle or to war, it's hair up. You don't want someone pulling your hair or using hair or even a Bigfoot using your hair against you. Get your hair up into a bun, secure it the best you can. Use a bandana, keep it under wraps. When there's no war or in training, I mean no war, uh, with the general public, you can have home that. But when we're in an area that's unsecure, where there could be an encounter, your hair goes up, you prepare for war. Like we say, prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. But your hair will be if you have long hair. If you're short hair that day, that's even better when you're out there. Next day, no hats that cause a horizon. In the field, it's only vertical. We look for the shoulders of a man or the head of a man. But when we're in, don't wear horizontal clothing like a hat. A hat, and this hat has a brim. With it, we're not in the everyone's at. It's a normal kind of place. I would something like that. So that causes a horizontal line in the field. It's all vertical. All the trees are vertical. Everything grows up. Anything horizontal is an oddity. And this is how you spot in the forest vertical. Look horizontal. Look for the horizon. Look for the horizontal. Anything that's horizontal is an oddity. It's not supposed to be there. It grows up. And of course, some people say, "Oh, tree falls over." Yeah, we understand, but that horizontal, that tree that's over, that's what we pick up anyway. And then that's a tree is just over naturally like that. Look for horizontal and look for horizontal. Universe. We're on what we're talking about for the camp and everything. Um, we did cover a little bit about the orbs, I think, but we are going over more of those things. Uh, okay, now for the warriors or the people who's going to be at camp, no change in your pocket. And I would recommend you don't even carry dollar bills. Don't have anything that you don't need on you. You're going into a situation. You're going into a place where we do know where Bigfoots do visit these areas. Take everything that you need. A warrior will not carry in snacks and cheeseburgers. A warrior carries his weapons, his water supply, um, anything that's going to help him in the field, a boogie bag or a bug out bag. Now, so no change in your pockets. Now, I have to say this because on one outing of scouting, and we were getting into some places, a young man had change in his pockets, and when we had to move quickly, um, well, all I can say is we call him Jingles. That's his nickname. And whenever time I see him, hey, what's up, Jingles? And you can know he's still okay with it, but he knows he got his name because he did something that he wasn't supposed to do that could have gotten us all, endangered. We call him Jingles because uh, he went on one of these things. He had change in his pocket, and when we had to move quickly, he was jingling. So make sure you have nothing but what you need. Don't carry a wallet. Um, hide whatever you need to hide in your truck or underneath it, but don't carry a wallet. Don't carry anything that you don't need. You need to be ready at all times and be as light as you can be. Phones, have them on the lowest setting. Anything that causes noise. If possible, have people to not call you when you're out in the field. Malcolm and I had that situation on our last outing, and it was my phone. My phone started ringing, and I don't get phone calls that often because I only know, only call certain people. And so this phone went off, and I turned around and looked at Michael. I was like, "You gotta "Shut your phone off." And he looked at his. He goes, "It's not mine." And so I had to reach down and find mine, and I was like, "Oh." And so those give your position away. And when we had that happen, we had to kind of sit there a while till we made sure that everything was calmed back down, everything before we moved. And that I also, yes, I did hit two spider webs. It is hard to see, but you have to use it through unnoticed. Um, Bigfoot knows we're using their trails, not even more the animal game trail. They're nervous to move out of the area. But we have to be very observant of catch the movement away from us. So realize that you're using their trails as cover. You're not looking for deer. You're not looking for hogs. You're avoiding the trap with spider webs. You're moving a certain way, and you got weapons. They move away from you because you're not hunting wild game, pigs, turkey, or anything like that. You've got something else you're looking for. And if they see that that's what you're doing, they're going to move away from you. They're not going to yell. They're not going to make a wood knock. Uh, they want you to peacefully go through that area without shooting any of them or killing any of them. They do know the difference between a warrior and a normal person. They do know that. Now, gloves. Always wear gloves. Everyone who comes to the camps, anytime we go to the field, you have gloves on. And this is also warrior training of how we teach at the tracker school camp, because we don't want your fingers to scrape on brush, sticks, twigs, and get a scrape, because now you just gave a blood scent, a blood trail, and that leads back to us. So everyone, if you come to these camps or any kind of tracker camp, uh, always bring a pair of gloves. And if you don't have a pair of gloves, always try to carry an extra pair. I spent just a couple of more minutes whenever Malcolm was here because I didn't know if he had gloves or not, so I had to go look for another pair. When I got out, to the car, I asked him, I said, "Do you have gloves?" He said, "Yeah." And he showed me. I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Well, I spent 30 minutes trying to find this extra pair for you." Uh, but always have gloves because we don't need scrapes. We don't need blood scents out there. We don't need to give our positions away more than what we already will with our scent from our homes, because that's the scent out there in the forest. But we're going to cover ours the best we can. Uh, this is a moving camp. This ceremony camp is a moving camp. We're not going to be in the same place every day. Um, we're going to be eating in certain places. We're going to be talking in certain places. But when we go to our camp during the nights and things, we're not going to be talking in those camps. We already know what we're going to do. We're going to be set up. We're going to be taking our shifts. We're going to be looking for the oddities and the abnormalities. We will have our vehicle equipment and then ready to go. And that's what we're going to be picking up a lot of things too. But make sure you have plenty of film also, because the other spots that we're going to be showing you, the traps are, how everything looks great. I mean, just everything that we're talking about these last couple segments, you're going to see this out in the field. Just like when me and Malcolm was out there, we talked about the bridges, the ravines, how they use them, the ponds, the waters, the waterways, how they use those. Everything we talked about before, we seen out there, and we took pictures and video of them. And that's where we found the 21 track. That's where we kind of ran them out of their own area, because they was trying to they wanted to try to trap us because we were following them, except we did both for that one the other way in two separate times. But uh, it is a moving camp. So we're ready for that. Don't expect, we're not going to put our tents up until it's time for us to either sleep or rest. We won't be like a normal person. Their tents up the whole weekend. Ours is only when it's time to sleep, time to rest. That's the only time you go to the tents out. Once we're done resting, tents go back up and we're ready to move. It is a moving camp. Also, if anyone has iPhone 7, uh, 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 we have iPhone 10, but and we do have a drone. But we need an iPhone. We need an iPhone 7 to um, to fly that or anything compatible. So if anyone who's coming to this camp has, I will bring it just in case. But if we don't have it, I'm going to leave it at my friend's while we go to the field. That way, it's secured and it's not going to be riding around because we won't. If we don't need it, we're not getting it. Okay, the next. Okay, now when we're in the field, which is September 3rd, 4th, and 5th, we're not going to have any 9:30 p.m. live streams. So I would suggest that uh, you subscribe to the channel so that whenever we do post, because it's going to be sporadic. Um, we will update, we will do some live streams so that you see what we're doing, but it's going to be at sporadic times. It's not going to be at 9:30 p.m. because that's nighttime. That's when we're going to be quiet. Now, the only time we may live stream like that is if something is just happening with him and we need to keep proof out. But there's not, for the third, we will not have any 9:30 p.m. live broadcast. They're static. You can still see them on Facebook, but I would recommend that you subscribe or or at least watch these videos whenever we do post them. So if you do subscribe, you're going to get the update that we're live at any time because it will hit your feed that your server has just went live. If you want to keep up with us while we're in the field, but again, like I said, it will be on these streams and you can watch them later. But if you want that live action with us, subscribe so that you get the notifications, and we will put those notifications up. Also, the thing is, if anybody would like to donate a camera, just like a camera, because we have a camera looking for a third camera or everything is appreciated. So we have a great safe time. It's always have those cameras and things like that. That's more nighttime or even during the daytime that we can see them when they're translucent. And like we talked about, we look for the blur, we look for the blue, we look for the outline. Also the scaling, we look for that. So, okay, so tomorrow we're going to bring signals. We're pushing it back and pushing it back. Like we right there. But I've been having to go over and then we got meet the next day, Friday morning, early as possible. Malcolm, if you can come by early as possible, I'll be ready to go anytime you get here. But we are going hand signals tomorrow, so that you know, stop in the field. So we don't want to talk out there. We already want to know what we're going to do before we do it. Hand signals, and hopefully one day, we can get like a sign language interpreter to come in so we can just have the conversations. I want to get to there. Also, so hand signals are tomorrow. We will be scheduled here again tomorrow at 9:30 p.m. Central Time Zone. I did have fun again tonight, sharing all this information with you. Also sharing more details of what we're going to do in the field and more things of how to prepare, like cover those lights up, something so we can eliminate any light coming from your vehicle. Um, and we'll have to rig some things for our phones and everything, because even the thermal imagizers and the night vision do put out light. So we're going to have to also cover those, put them like a tape it to where it drapes over our head. We're trying not to be seen out there. So it's 11 o'clock, and we got through everything. We did do a recap. Um, thank everybody. If I'm not here tonight, I haven't seen him yet. Faith Walker, thank you so much. You put us right on track for your generosity. Uh, and not just appreciate it, because all the things we need, battery, things like that. If someone have batteries, we're gonna make sure they have batteries too. They don't have those, we're gonna share food, everything. So thank you, Geek Walker. Your generosity is up in this, and we'll be in. It won't be a time. We'll be uh, we get a chance to update everybody on what we're doing, how we're doing, and that we're okay. Uh, we do expect to have more camps. This is in and out. We're on taking certain people. We're sharing while we're there, and if you ever get a chance to come with us, and get to one of these camps, and we're going to talk about this also at this camp, uh, where we're going to take from here, where the next step would be, where the next camp, and how soon we can get that up. Plus, we talk with the people here who can make some of these camps or who wants to make some of these camps. We will schedule. Uh, like this, we work with two different skills. Uh, able to go, so we are going this time regardless. And if people still can't this time, we'll be doing other things. This is just that one time that we're all about to go, and it's all certain people that I know they've had experiences with either they did something else or they got uh, something else can help us get to the feedback. Okay, I want to thank everybody again for the night. I had a great time. Uh, I hope everyone was able to grab all the information and we got coming up because a short time, and I want everybody to camp. It was fun, but I also want the viewers and the people who are not going to this camp this time to know everything that we're doing, because a lot of y'all have helped us, gave us support, even if it's just telling us that they're learning a lot more, and that uh, all the things that we share is beneficial for them, which I know it is. Um, but we still got a lot more to go, a lot more to do, a lot more teaching. Um, we'll get into the ceremonies and things like that. There's a lot to teach, a lot, for people to know and learn. So this is not like just a one-time thing. We're going to do it as a team, and we do appreciate everyone out there who can help us get this done, because we know that you will get one of these camps. It seems like everyone who's helped us um, is making uh, not a promise, but are insinuating that once they are able to be at the camp or be at one of the other camps, they will join us. And that's what we like to hear. We want everybody to be safe, know how to fire, and be safe with your family, know how to teach your family. Uh, Rob posted that the government gets very touchy on the whole state, so who knows how deep the rabbit hole goes. And Rock, if you were listening to the story of Legend of Time, did the Fibonacci sequence with us, um, and if you know that story, you know how far the rabbit hole goes. We know how far it goes. A lot of people don't. But these stories, these ancient stories, they tell us exactly about that. So you may need to recap a little bit, listen to that whole story, take that test, catch up with us on the Fibonacci sequence, and you yourself will know how deep that rabbit hole goes. We know it. People don't know, but we're sharing it. Uh, I want to thank everybody again tonight. We will be back here again tomorrow at 9 p.m. sharp, Central Time Zone. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. I had a great time again, and I will see you tomorrow night at 9:30 p.m. Uh, Everyone have a great night, and we will see each other again. Have a great night.